guys. Let's move on now, and let's do the same exact exercise with the defensive line room, okay? And or the defensive line board, I should say. I'm really excited about this because with the defensive line board, you know, a lot of things have shifted, just like the cornerback room. And again, you can find this this little write-up, this article over in Patreon as well, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. So taking a deeper look at the defensive line tackle class. Again, what we're really trying to key in on this video, guys, is 52 and 84. 52 and 84. Who are going to be available for the Packers when we pick at 52 and 84? I want to be very, very clear. If a stud towards the top of our board starts to sink out of sight on the draft board and he ends up there for us when we pick at 52, man, I'm not saying that's not possible. That would be absolutely awesome. We're just kind of keying in on, I guess you could say, worst case scenario at 52, right? So let's look at it. Sorted by RAS score. Who helped themselves at the combine here this week? Starting at the top, and again, these are not sorted by our overall grade. These are just the guys who scored 5s on the RASs, okay? And I love that it mixes them up a little bit because that way we're not getting kind of too caught up in, well, this guy's higher on the board than that guy, right? It's just about strictly athletic score. Caleb Banks got a 9+, scoring a 5-point bonus. Obviously, Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida, his overall grade is a 23.6. We'll talk more about that in a second. Grayson Halton, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma, he got a 5-point bonus. Caleb Proctor, Southeastern Louisiana, we have talked about him since day one on this particular program when we're breaking down the draft board and more specifically the defensive line class this year. Caleb Proctor is a player. He played at a very, very small school. If you remove the school name here, okay, just remove the school name, you would look at Caleb Proctor and go, okay, forget where he played college. We got a defensive tackle Packers are interested in. He's 6'2", 291 pounds, 33-inch arms, guys, 33-inch arms. He ran a 4.79 40. If this data is that correct? Is that really correct? I feel like I need to check this on the fly. My goodness, I didn't realize in the fog of war here of everything that we've been trying to keep up with during this process, I did not realize that he may have had that good of a 40 time. I want to confirm that real quick because Emilio's been putting that data in. If I'm understanding that may be a different measurement there. Let's see here. 40 time for 4.79. Lord have mercy. 1.69, 10-yard split. Boys, I'm just about sold on Caleb Proctor. You guys, if you follow this channel the entire draft season, you know I've been just giddy over him, right? And it always comes back to school's too small, school's too small. The other argument, and listen, it's a valid argument, for defensive tackle, you're not looking for somebody like that to play nose tackle, right? He's 291 pounds. People say he's too light. He's too light. You telling me we can't put 10 pounds on that cat? And he's already running a 4.7 40. It's not going to affect it that much, right? So just I don't worry about that stuff too much. So again, you remove the small school, 6'2", 291, 33-inch arms, 4.79 40. Now, how did he do in college? Again, I'm supposed to not talk about it, but 475th ranked at his position in 23. Pretty bad, right? In 24, he jumped all the way to 84. In 25, he jumps all the way to 8th. He was a top 10 highest graded defensive tackle in all of college football, over 400 programs, okay? PFF Big Board had him at 189. The consensus Big Board has him at 158. We recently moved him up because the discrepancy between the early grade or the early ranking for consensus Big Board and where he sits now was over 100 spots. So we meet in the middle. He's now 158 there. His grade is a 104.8. His RAS, obviously, a 5. I didn't want to spend this much time on Caleb Proctor, but I'm telling you, this is a guy the Packers have met with. Small school guy, may go under the radar a little bit. I really, really think it'd be worth taking a chance. The question is where? Would you be willing to spend pick 84 on him? Probably not. We may regret that. But if he's there at 120, because being a small school, he somehow drops, 120, I would love Caleb Proctor at 120. You'll hear me go crazy on our live draft coverage. If he's there at 120 and the Packers run the card, that would be absolutely awesome. Next, in terms of RAS, is DeMonte Capehart out of Clemson. He got a 5-point bonus. Zane Durant, by the way, 4.75 40. He's only 6'1", 290. The arm length is 31 7/8, so not near as long as, obviously, Caleb Proctor. Caleb Proctor actually had longer arms than Grayson Halton as well. The only one that had longer arms, I mean, I'm sure there's others. No, actually, I think there's a couple more that have longer arms than Caleb Proctor, but Caleb Banks, guys, out of Florida, 35-inch arms. That is insane. That dude he's about to make a lot of money, man. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 39. We'll talk about that in a second. But Zane Durant got a 5-point bonus. David Gusta out of Kentucky got a 5-point bonus as well. Now, moving into the 8s, that gets you a 3-point bonus, the 8 RASs. Chris McClellan, defensive tackle out of Missouri, got a 3-point bonus. Albert Regas got a 3-point bonus. Jackie Marshall got a 3-point bonus. And then getting into the 7s, you got Nick Barrett out of South Carolina gets a 1-point bonus. Cameron Ball out of Arkansas, 1-point bonus. Bryson Eason out of Tennessee, 1-point bonus. Lee Hunter scored a 0. Okay, I said he scored a 0. He got 0 points for us, which means he was less than 7 RAS. I want to say he was in the 3s the last I checked. Okay, so Lee Hunter is interesting. We got a 41.1 grade on him. Go back to what Bucky Brooks said. When you look at the athletic testing, you're looking for the athletic testing to confirm what you've seen on tape. Okay, now if you see the tape and you love the tape already, and then you go and you catch the combine, right, and you go, oh, wow, he didn't perform that well. You go back to the tape and go, is there something I missed? No, he's dominating on the football field. He's bench pressing a double team off of him, no problem. He is quick out of the chute. As we seen at the Senior Bowl, we played a clip on here the other day from Senior Bowl practice where he was so quick twitch off the line of scrimmage. You watch the tape for Lee Hunter and you don't get concerned about his athleticism. He's a big boy, 6'3", right? 6'3 and a half, 318 pounds, 33 and a quarter inch arms. He ran a 5'1", 840. Not good, but this is more of a nose tackle than a 3-tech. Caleb Proctor, 3-tech. Lee Hunter, more of a nose, right? So the question is, would you be willing to spend the 52nd pick on a nose tackle? Right now, Kobe Wooden's your nose tackle. Do you feel like Lee Hunter would immediately upgrade your nose tackle position? Would he? I'm asking. I don't know, right? I have a hard time believing that a rookie defensive tackle who is a second-round talent would immediately leapfrog Kobe Wooden in year 1, maybe year 2, possibly, right? But Kobe Wooden actually led all of our defensive linemen in run stops last year. Actually played pretty darn well, believe it or not. Again, do I think he's the nose tackle of the future? Probably not. But I just don't know if Lee Hunter at 52 would come in and start over Kobe Wooden, especially the way we kind of hold rookies back in Green Bay, have for a long, long time, right? Way back, multiple coaches, obviously. So, and Tim Keenan out of Alabama also scored a 0. He had a 132.5. So if we now sort by overall grade amongst the defensive tackles, Caleb Banks is at the top of the list at a 23.6. Kayden McDonald, 25.3. Peter Woods, 34.0. Some people have Peter Woods in the top 10, top 15. I can't get on board with it. One of those people is Tankathon. Tankathon had him at 16, and that's baked into our board. Even with Tankathon 16, we still have him at 34. Well, what brung him down? You look at Peter Woods, he has declined. According to PFF, he's declined since 23. He was the 12th highest graded defensive tackle. He dropped to 26th. Then he dropped to 206. The PFF Big Board, however, had him 9th on their original PFF Big Board. Consensus Big Board had him at 12. But Daniel Jeremiah said, no, I got him more in the 34 mark, right? Dane Brugler said 33. Tankathon said 16. Okay. So when you look at Peter Woods, and he did not compete at the combine or didn't get a complete RAS, if he was there, maybe he was interviewing, I don't know. But that lands him with a 34.0 grade for us on our PTA Big Board. At 52, I would love Peter Woods. Would love it. Many people are saying he won't be there, and that's probably the case. He'll probably go somewhere between 30 to 45 would be my guess. But Peter Woods is there on our board. Kristen Miller, one of my draft crushes, 35.8. If he's there at 52, I would be more than happy to take a look at Kristen Miller and say, hey, does this make sense for us? That's a 3-tech. That's a guy that could dominate. He's gotten better every year. He's ascending coming into the league, 303, 33, 18, got better every year. PFF Big Board had him at 30. Consensus Big Board, 33. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 37. Dane Brugler had him at 37 as well. Probably not going to be there at 53, but I would be okay with that. Here's where Lee Hunter falls into play, 41.1. Lee Hunter feels like the defensive tackle that we've talked about so far, realistically, is probably the first defensive tackle, highest defensive tackle on our board that might potentially be there at 52. Before the combine, there were people in our comments and our chat saying, oh, he's slam dunk a first-round pick. I don't know if he is now. He'll probably drift into the second round. The question is how far. And if he does get to 52, is Gute going to spend the 52nd pick on a guy who's got like a 3 RAS? I don't see that happening. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it happening, right? And the Packers did meet with Lee Hunter. Keep that in mind. I think, at the Senior Bowl, or actually the Combine, I believe, as well. Darrell Jackson, the Packers met with him at the East-West Shrine Bowl, I think it was. Maybe it was the Combine. You guys go double-check that. That's a guy here that's got an 86.0 grade. That's going to be more along the lines of that 84th pick according to our board. Now, where's Gute's board got him? Gute may have him 50th, and that might be the 52nd overall pick. We've seen that. Last year with our first two picks, we had Luther Burden significantly higher than Matthew Golden. They were both available. We went Matthew Golden. The Bears went later with Luther Burden, right? Luther Burden ended up grading higher at the NFL level. It is what it is. Second round, we had Ozzie Trapillo graded out in the 70s, right, on our board. Anthony Belton was like 121. In the second round, Gute took Anthony Belton over Ozzie Trapillo. Again, Ozzie Trapillo had a better season according to PFF. Anthony Belton scored in the 40s, I think. Hopefully, year two is huge jumps for those guys. I'm not giving up on them. I think Matthew Golden's a dog. First of all, he scored a 70. It's not like he had a bad year. People who think he had a bad year are crazy. Matthew Golden is the real deal. It's going to be really exciting watching him. I'm just simply saying, just because our board has a guy lower or higher than another, Gute has, it's more times than not, he will go lower on our board to get a guy, and immediately you'll hear me on the draft show say, I don't know, man, maybe we're off here. Gute knows way more about evaluation than I do, obviously. But, man, we kind of smoked him last year, which is interesting. I say we, but we give you here's the entire recipe for our board. It's not like I'm grading the tape. I don't have that big of an ego. I don't trust myself enough to go grade the tape and go, this guy's better than that guy's better than this guy. We're just trying to take in all the important data points, and we've got lead scouts that we feel like are the best in the business at evaluating draft prospects. So Darrell Jackson, again, 86. You got Dominic Orange down here with 90, all right, 90.0. So Big Citrus, 84 wouldn't be much of a reach. I'd be okay with that at 84 if you wanted to go that route. If you pass up on him at 84 and he's there at 120, it's a no-brainer run the card. I just don't know a Big Sit will last that long. I think he's got some kind of medical condition too. We need to do a little bit of research on that. Grayson Halton, he scored a 5 RAS. We talked about him earlier. He's in the 103 spot. If he's there at 120, I'd be okay with that. Now, is Gute okay with the arm length, 31 1/8 inch? That's a tough look, right? Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati, same thing. 31 7/8 inch arms. Is that going to be long enough? 104.6 for him. Makes sense at 120. And then we got our boy Caleb Proctor, 104.8 for Caleb Proctor. 5-point bonus with the RAS. We talked about him already. Guys, if there's a player on this board, in this year's draft, that I would be okay with risking it to reach on our board to get at 84, it's Caleb Proctor. There's just something, I don't know, man. There's something about Caleb Proctor. I am so interested in seeing how he performs over the next 4 years, no matter where he's drafted. It's going to be a good case study for our process in really breaking down the draft, because if Kayden Proctor goes out there and he just dominates at the NFL level, and right out of the gate, let's say he's a 60 PFF grade or higher, and he gets 300 to 400 snaps his rookie year, and then year two he takes a step and now he's grading out near or above 70, and he's up to 500 snaps, and he's taking over as a starting 3 tech somewhere, we're going to know, all right, we got to really minimize this small school aspect. And we should be doing that already, because, and again, it doesn't hurt them on our board. That's why Caleb Proctor's higher on our board than most draft boards, right? But look at Tucker Kraft. The same thing was said about Tucker Kraft. Small school, he won't pan out. Look at him. Christian Watson, same thing. Small school, won't pan out. Look at him. What happened, right? So we've seen it time and time again, and we've got specific success stories from the Packers draft classes where smaller school guys have played really, really well, right? So again, take it for how you will there. 114.8 for Chris McClellan. Skylar Gill Howard out of Texas Tech, 123.8. And now you're getting into some of the lower guys here. Tim Keenan, Rayshawn Benny, who the Packers met with. Rayshawn Benny, we actually have a 135.1 on him. Probably wouldn't be too terrible for a reach at 120 if you wanted to go that route. His arm length, 33 3/8. He's 6'3", 298. We don't have an RAS score on him, so evidently he did not compete. Maybe we need to keep an eye on the Michigan Pro Day. But Rayshawn Benny dominated at the Senior Bowl week, so keep that in mind. Very, very interesting too, might I add, that the only 2 guys out of the defensive tackles, I love for looking for commonalities like this, the only 2 guys that got 5-point bonuses from the Senior Bowl are Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, okay, and Rayshon Benny out of Michigan. Do you think it's a coincidence that both of those players the Packers met with? Just saying. So the Senior Bowl matters, man. That's one of the things that goes into the equation for determining some of the more likely picks for the Packers. You'll see when the board's complete, some guys' nameplates will be lit up gold. That means they're going to be at the top of the list for the Packers because the threshold matched out. They were a Senior Bowl participant as well. And then if they get those plus the top 30 visit, you're going to see a black spade next to them. And what that's going to identify as this guy is prime for the picking for the Packers. I think last year we drafted two of I don't know how many spades there were. There were less than 20 spades. We predicted two of the Packers draft picks with that, if I remember correctly. Gold, I think the gold, there was actually 3 or 4, if I remember correctly. We'll have to go back and look at it. But again, those are just kind of tiered identifiers of, hey, the Packers may be interested in these guys. Now, let's talk about Daniel Jeremiah here and his top 50. Which defensive tackles rank the highest on Daniel Jeremiah's top 50? At the top of the list, Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. He had him 26. I imagine that number is going to drop, but it's not going to change on our board, so we do not allow the combine effect to manipulate our board in any way here, okay? We control the manipulation with the 5, 3, 1, and 0 bonuses, okay? That's how we control it on our board, so they can't move more than 5 points up, essentially, and the combine will not hurt them. I imagine Daniel Jeremiah is going to drop him down significantly on his next top 100 or whatever he drops. Okay, so again, Lee Hunter, Daniel Jeremiah had 26. Kayden McDonald out of Ohio State, he had at 33. Peter Woods, he had at 34. Kristen Miller, 37. Caleb Banks, 39. So that's where Daniel Jeremiah had those guys in his top 50. Obviously, Darrell Jackson just outside of his top 50. Caleb Proctor just outside of his top 50. Probably significantly out of his top 50. He may even be out of his top 100. I can't wait to see where he falls there, especially after the combine performance. So there you go. That's a look at the defensive tackles. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about the defensive tackle position? How do you feel about what we talked about on the board? How do you feel about Daniel Jeremiah's rankings of those guys? I specifically want to know what you guys think about Lee Hunter. How concerned are you about Lee Hunter's combine? If he's there at 52, do you say, the heck with the combine, Clayton, I could care less. Let's go get Lee Hunter. That'll be our starting nose tackle day one. Is that the route you go? Or maybe you look at it and go, no, man, that's too many red flags for me. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you catch all the live streams moving forward. All right.